And so those who couldn't make it will obviously, send them copies of, the recording. We'll also record the training sessions from next week so that if anybody cannot join in, then they can access it later on. But we'd urge everyone to come because then, it's the discussion, the participation that will help us kind of, achieve better results, at the end. What I will do, I will go through a slideshow and we can have a discussion, while we are going through. You can ask questions and contribute. And just want to say one thing, although this is a Brickland Circle project, right? But now since you have joined, it has become like your project as well. So you can shape it, right? We put down certain ideas on the application form, but there's always flexibility, to shape it, to make it suit the purpose, because when we were writing, we were not aware of all kinds of realities on the ground, and things are shifting and changing. So treat this as your project, and you can help shape the project. Sorry, I started doing slideshow without sharing the screen. As you know, this project is called Knowing One Another Through Philosophy. As I explained before, we ran 2 Knowing One Another projects before, and we have videos of our activities and end products online, and we will share those again with you if you don't have them. Now, Brickland Circle, when we set Brickland Circle, we had a number of aims and objectives. In essence, what would we wanted to do, because around when we set this up first, it was during the late 1990s and formally from 2007. And that time, Bangladeshi community was quite disadvantaged, and there were a lot of problems. Things have moved on. This community is much more stronger now, more integrated, and participating more in the mainstream. But 20, 30 years ago, it was kind of different. So what we wanted to do is to engage people to think more deeply, intellectual kind of engagement, to develop, our critical thinking ability, our knowledge base, and our confidence level, so that we can engage with everything, in this country. And also, we wanted to, through this process, and also, we live in a multicultural, faith, and diverse society. So we wanted to promote good links and relationships. That also, involved looking back in history, because it's the history that has brought us together, in this country. And so that's why we, do a lot of historical work and community cohesion work, and also a lot of activities, to do with Bangladesh and Bengal, in general. And these are just some of the aims and objectives that you will find in our website, relevant for this particular project that I have, I'm sharing. But in our website, there are more details. Obviously, you can, go and see details of the 2 Knowing One Another projects that we did before. With this one, I would like us to have a discussion as well, not just one way. When we were doing, the other projects, especially the drama ones, we had a lot of audience participation. People came to see. We delivered 4 performances, and each one of them was where we recruited people and then they came and they explored, their life, their experience, and they developed scenarios, and developed scripts and rehearsed and then delivered performances. And through the audience participation, we got a lot of feedback. And some people suggested that some of the issues that were brought up, during the drama sessions, they could be explored more deeply. Obviously, there are many different ways, that we can explore even with a deeper place, for example. But then, we came up with this project idea, a philosophy. One of the reasons is that normally people don't associate philosophy with community projects. They think philosophy is in the academia, or it's beyond ordinary people. But I personally, since I was a child, I realized, I had philosophical kind of critical thinking mind, always asking questions. I think most people do that. But a lot of people get shaped by, traditions and parents and so on. So they lose their ability, for like a critical thinking, and they accept a lot of contradictions in life. They, become prejudiced and participate in things, tension and othering and abusing and so on. So we thought, if we bring philosophy back to the community, then the natural conditions of human beings will be awakened. I know, we're talking very big, right? Yeah, but um, we kind of believe in this, right? That we can, get people to think more deeply and engage more deeply. And philosophy is a very, good way of resolving a lot of things, because and that's where you ask critical questions, you challenge each other, and so on. So what we wanted to do, in this society, like every society, there's so many problems. But luckily, in this society, there's a lot of debates and discussion and critical thinking, and people are always challenging one another. So they help keep some of that tension kind of at bay. So what we thought is that if we, because there's so many levels, problems are happening at the moment, or for quite a long time. Most of the community cohesion issues related to migrants, immigrants coming from Eastern Europe, and refugees from Africa and Middle East, from the wars in the Middle East, and Muslim issues, terrorism and how Muslims treat women and so on. But then there are smaller communities, could be from Mauritius, could be Irish, I don't know, any. They could be having problems at different levels that we are not aware of, but it affects them equally. Children growing up in a small community, in a small place, the prejudice and stereotypes and all kinds of community cohesion issues might be having impact on them, impact on their development, their happiness and so on. So what we wanted to do is to get people from different communities. We haven't got from all that or many different communities. We have got some. There are a few other people who have joined who belong to some other communities. So hopefully through this project, we'll be able to engage more people from more different communities. So basically what we would like to see is each one of us look at a different issue. It could be mega issue or local issue, like meta narrative issue, or a small localized problem. And then after we go through all the training sessions, and many of you already have philosophical backgrounds, and the sessions are designed to brush up and make us like bring all of us kind of up to date in relation to this project, so that we can start applying philosophical tools, not to analyze and resolve some of the problem that we face, which comes from prejudice, and people's self-interest, how they create prejudice and then they create tension in the community. So basically what this will involve is each person looking at a particular community cohesion problem. For example, it could be like recent COVID-related anti-Asian, anti-Chinese, and then obviously we had the Brexit, and there's so many other things within the community. And then use philosophical tools to explore, but we don't want people to get carried away, to become academic. This is a community project, so keep it at a level that people can understand. But it still has to be quite thorough, quite focused and what's the rigorous, right? But aim to be simple so that people can understand, people can enjoy, and benefit from. And each person to produce a piece. Now, how long, I don't really know. It's really up to you how long you might need, but not too long and not too short. Something reasonable that people will enjoy reading, and it will help people, go through the issues in a quite thorough way, so that there will be some kind of conclusions through some kind of logical process, right? Yeah? And then what we will do, we will work with a theater director. Her name is Shannon. Sorry, I just go back quick, just a bit. We have, these are the training sessions now. We had to reschedule 2 because of certain changes. So the first one starts next Tuesday, logic. And then we have decolonialism, decolonial perspective, and each week one. So we'll be covering, how space and architecture can create problem and also resolve problem. Political philosophy, and ethics and epistemology and Eastern philosophy. So by the time we finish, we should have, and also because we'll be discussing practical issues as well through each of the sessions. So we will have good idea, about how to kind of go about finishing each one of our own project, small project. So what we'll do, we'll put all of the pieces of writing together and produce a PDF book. If we can get some money from somewhere, or even if we can save money from this project, we will try and get this, printed into a small booklet. Sometimes, booklets are, people keep them for a long time on their shelf, and it has a value if the quality is good. So we will aim at that. And then once the written pieces are kind of completed, then we'll work with Shannon. Sorry, just another thing. Last week I sent everybody a Zoom link to the training sessions. Please disregard that, right? Yeah, because I used a different wrong organization, because I'm involved with several organizations. But I have I've created new dates now with the same dates with with Brickland Circle Zoom account, and I'll be sending this out to everybody, tonight later on. Yeah, and then we will work with Jean and Sally, run a series of drama workshops and invite other people to join. And everybody who is involved with this project, now every one of you can join the drama in any capacity you want, acting or helping, scripting. It's really up to you, right? You can influence the project in many different ways. Does anybody have any questions? I know I've been going too fast. Hello?
Yeah, still, yeah. No, good, all good, all good.
Yeah. Anybody else? No? Okay. Yeah, in terms of help, right? We have up to £100 per person for travel expenses and refreshments, whatever you might need if you go somewhere, talk to some people, or if you go to the library, or up to you. You might want to buy a book, if you want. It's up to you, really, right? And then once the training is completed, then we will have regular Zoom meetings to discuss and share and update each other. How often we'll have those, Zoom meetings. It will be decided by us as a group. It could be 2 weekly, could be monthly. It depends on what we feel, as a group. And I will also be in one-to-one communication with people, through Zoom and telephone, and we'll set up a WhatsApp group so that we can communicate through WhatsApp. And I will also create opportunities for network and sharing, with other people, who are doing community cohesion work. I think I've already mentioned this. Basically, so we'll have a electronic book, and I will keep a lot of records, and we'll interview every participant here and people who participate in the drama sessions. And then at the end of the project, we'll produce a short video documentary. And obviously, we'll deliver a highly intellectual but widely understandable drama performance. It could be at the Rich Mix Center, it could be at the Brady Arts Center. We will approach them and we'll definitely get one of the venues. I think that's it, yeah. So hello?
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, any questions, any suggestions, or anybody see any problems, potential problems, or any issues?
Yeah.
When will the documentary be filmed from? Is it after the workshops once we get started on our written piece?
I mean, say if you're doing some research, right? Yeah? You want to look at a particular practical community cohesion problem. It could be, say, in Hackney, I don't know, right? Or Whitechapel, or anywhere. So if you go there, if you take some footage, maybe some signs on the wall or anything, so that could be, be part of the film, the documentary later on. So we can all, keep footage, right? Using our mobile and so on. We've got better camera, we can also make that available. But I think mainly we will start, filming once we, and I will keep, recordings of the training sessions. And if people don't object, then bits and pieces of the training can also go in the video, to show how we, the process of the project. Okay? So we can keep records, and if if you meet some really interesting person that you would like, them to be included in the video, their interview, maybe they can talk about their experience, because it would be really nice, when we are exploring, say, for example, if someone is interested in exploring COVID-related, anti-Chinese prejudice, because we saw reports in the newspaper, some Chinese people getting beaten up. So if you find somebody, maybe we want to interview them, they can tell us what happened to them. So that could be part of the documentary, but also their story could be explored in the drama. So there's like endless possibilities, yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Tisu, anything?
Yeah. So just one question. With the topic, so it has to be like an existing community cohesion issue, like that's happening right now.
I mean, what do you think, right? Because did you wanted to explore something historical?
Well, I don't know. I mean, just I didn't yet have anything in mind, but
I think it has to have like a current, present relevance.
yeah.
So sometime, some historical things can throw light on current issue, or you can get like solutions to current problems by looking at how people resolve issues in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see,
I wouldn't be very prescriptive, right? But as long as it has current relevance. But ideally, it could be a current problem, that people are facing. I mean, personally like to see, let's say, like bigger community, which most people are about know, but then smaller community, because this country is so diverse, you know, and there's, you know, I mean, like I'm from a Bangladeshi Muslim community, so this is very large, but there are small communities, you know, who living somewhere, they could be in the hundreds, and scattered, not together, right? Yeah. So we don't even know what kind of problem they're facing. And also, you know, like sometime the other thing is, you know, a lot of white people also face racism, you know. I know when people say white people don't face racism, this is structural because, you know, whatever reason. But, you know, there's prejudice exists against white people as well, right? So they also affect community cohesion issues. So those things can also be explored. So I would say, you know, we should be bold, you know, and forget about political correctness and just, you know, just whatever issue you as an individual think that you would like to explore.
And does it have to be, is it something that's sort of really contextual to East London? Or can it be something with a wider lens?
No, wider, because, you know, in this country, it's all connected, you know. We learn from each other, things affects us. If something happens in, say, Birmingham, it affects people in London, and vice versa, and so on. So this is an East London-based project, but, you know, the even problems, you know, outside this country, even in Europe, other places, you know, has an impact on community relations here.
Yeah, I think it's also the notion of there's a lot of fear and uncertainty as well at the moment, which may add to these cohesion issues that already exist. So, like where I am in Rickmansworth in the Mill End area, last 3 years I've seen a slightly more influx of, well, the Asian community or the Indian community as a whole expanding, but there's also Eastern Europeans coming in. So I know when I was working in schools, a lot of the youngsters from that kind of Eastern community were finding it difficult to fit in because of language barriers and issues. So it's not something that's happened before. I think it still exists. So it's really looking at, for me, how to not educate people, but to create a better understanding, and using different forms and mediums to express that. And I think this project for me kind of highlighted a few of those things that we can do quite easily from wherever you are, because it affects everyone. It's a human thing rather than a cultural or a community issue.
To say, you know, when I was growing up, I mean, obviously growing up is, it can be very, you know, confusing for a lot of people. So, you know, just me as an individual, I used to go to school in Canning Town, you know, in East London, E16.
Yeah,
and,
good Trinity and Eastleigh and Cumberland.
Yes, I went there, and, you know, I face all kinds of prejudices. And I've also been prejudicial against other people as well, you know, right? But a lot of the prejudice is there was only, not all white people are prejudiced, you know, right? Some were racist to try and beat you up. Then I faced prejudice from Black people, from Indian people, from Pakistani people, being Bangladeshi, right? So, you know, there's so many, and that affected my growing up, affected my self-worth. How do you say this? You know, a sense of who I am. So it, you know, it affects people's lives. You know, this kind of thing. So, you know, we can explore whatever we think it affects people. You know, and prevents people from having good, cohesive, you know, harmonious, you know, and what's the word? People feel confident, pride in themselves while they're growing up.
Confidence. Yeah.
Sorry, Shoidu?
No, I was just saying confidence or self-esteem or something like that, perhaps. Yeah. It's interesting to me that it all seemed to me that the Bangladeshi diaspora or community within England there's a certain like lack of confidence within the community themselves, not just as individuals, to the prejudice they face, but as a group, as a group, they perhaps because they feel like I'm second generation and maybe not achieved the same level of integration as maybe the Indians, for example. Their fathers, the father generation were, or my parents were the restaurateurs, and there was a feeling that maybe we'd always be contained within the community base. They'd be always thought of as a minority and not integrating as much. So it affected perhaps before the notion of identity and self-respect, perhaps. I don't know. So it seemed to me often.
Yeah, I think different communities integrate a different rate, different levels, and sometimes it's just how things are, where they're coming from. Like a lot of the Indians came from East Africa, and because they already had this close relationship with the British, who went there, so it was more easier for them to integrate, when they came here. Then the Sikhs, and then Muslims. There's a religious issue as well, right? So it's like say a lot of Muslims don't drink and they cannot eat a lot of food and so on. That helps. That creates barriers, that Sikhs and Hindus don't face. But Hindus, they're vegetarian. A lot of the Hindus are vegetarian who came from East Africa. But then, so they don't eat meat. But it doesn't create problems, barriers. But for Muslims, sometimes even for me, I'm quite strict with the food. So I found it difficult to join in Christmas parties, right? But my manager, they've always sort of, been nice to me, sort of try to accommodate, in Christmas parties for my needs, right? And it doesn't take much effort, right? And I wasn't rude either, right? So it was a two-way thing. When that's why you need empathy, and once you build empathy, then a lot of issues can be resolved.
Yes. Yeah. Actually, I did have a question about how much, is the research that we're going to do, especially from, for example, reading books and then thinking about it, which obviously is going to be part of it, but then also will it be combined with, and I guess it will be, it's as however much people want to or not, but outreach, going into the communities, maybe interviewing people, talking to people, talking to individuals, people that we might know, network. Then my question is, how would we do that if we don't know many people? If we don't know many people from...
I don't think you really don't have to, right? This project is not designed to, do kind of outreach, and research, interview research, right? But if you happen to know some people, or if you want to do it, and the method, then you can interview 1 or 2 people, but not like, sample of 10. This is not a statistical thing, right? It just, understanding the issues. And even if you talk to 1 or 2 people, you can get a sense of how the issues might be affecting. And there would be newspaper reports, of tensions and so on. And so this is not like a research means, just finding out a little bit, but most of the focus should be on, analytical thing, when you analyze, ideas and concepts and standpoints, and the people have. And, when you have, people say that you have irresistible force and immovable object, they come and then they cannot move. But there are no such thing as those forces, I think, right? So you can always, I think you can resolve through philosophical sort of analysis, at least come to some kind of conclusion where we depart, and with respect.
Yeah. So certainly, philosophy rather than journalism, for example, rather than writing about, encounters and people and interviewing people, rather than that, but that included, but really philosophical, analytical philosophy.
Tahira, anything?
No, nothing from me. Thank you.
Chris?
Yeah, no, sounds good. Just thinking about it. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah.
So everybody is still on board, yeah?
Yep.
Oh, that's really great, right? We got a few more people, and hopefully they will join the training. And then, I mean, what we'll do if, you know, if 21st, see what the government say about the lockdown, and you know, soon I'd like to invite everybody for a meal, you know, in Brick Lane area somewhere, in some restaurant. And it's on the project, you know, so you won't have to pay, right?
That's nice.
That's if you're interested in coming, right? It'd be nice to get together, you know, face to face. After we have some sessions, so that we can engage seriously, you know, a bit of some arguments over some meal. If I think if nobody has any other things, so everybody's clear now, yeah, or more or less, you know. But as I was saying, this is your project, so you can shape the project, you know. So I am now equal, you know, with everybody else. So I'm not going to tell you, you know, what the project is. So within the framework, you know, we can be imaginative and creative. So I think we will stop then, and then and we'll see you on Tuesday at Dr. Apata's session on logic. By the way, did everybody get a copy of a PDF book that I sent?
Yeah.
Did you get, Chris?
I don't think I did. No.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to, you know, I'm going to send links to the sessions now, again with everybody, and send the PDF book. It's a book called Philosophy Made Simple.
Yeah, no, I didn't get that.
It's a very good one, right? It has, you know, I mean, it doesn't have Eastern philosophy, but it has, and also doesn't have decolonial stuff, but it has the, you know, usual Western categories, you know, like logic, epistemology, political philosophy. And this was the first book on philosophy I read, you know, from a library, Eastern library. You know, this was like when I was about 17 or 18. And, you know, it was really good because that started, basically got me thinking, you know, about this. And I did try to show off with other kids who didn't know anything about philosophy by using some big words, you know. But that was it. Okay, then, yes. So thank you very much. And we see you on next Tuesday.
Brilliant. Bye, everyone. It was lovely
Great.
seeing you all.
Lovely
Bye.
meeting you all. Bye.
Thanks so much.
Really appreciate
Take
it.
care.
Bye.
Thanks, Mohammed.